Yeah, things are crazy right now.
So let's get to the next questioning about not just about this EP, but just your whole music in general. Like how, well, maybe not how, but when did you have an idea of kind of what type of music you want to start recording and start kind of getting at? Because according to your bio on Bandcamp, which is awesome, is like, no, I record music in my basement when the kids are in bed. Like that's such a,
Yeah,
it's
right.
it's quite an awesome opinion because that's what a lot of guys are doing right now too.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's very true. It's like it. It kind of. I like that because it sounds good, but it's also like it is exactly true. I mean, that's what I do. Um, that's when I have time to do stuff. I have two little kids, um, wife, and I have a full time job and all that kind of stuff. But music's my passion, so that's what I'm trying to do. Um, and sorry, I lost my train of thought. What was your question again?
Where was I? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
right. So let's get you back on track here, Nate.
All
Um,
right.
my the next question would be is since you are the kind of the whole band itself, what was the first instrument you started out with? Did you start out with guitar, or did you start out from with drums and then kind of move to guitar, or how'd you work that along?
Well, it's when I record, I usually do kind of a scratch track of usually just guitar. A
Right.
lot of times it's acoustic guitar, and sometimes a vocal too, or at least like the vocal melody. If I don't have I don't have the actual lyrics written yet,
Right.
but I'll usually do that, and then once I have that, I usually do the drums, and then I go back and usually do either the guitar and the guitar and the bass next, and then vocals are always last. So
Well, let me ask you this: when you started getting into music and started playing, what instrument did you start out with?
when I started playing music originally,
Yeah.
guitar was my first instrument when I was a kid.
Well, the reason why I'm asking is because just myself and I know some other people. When I first started, I took piano lessons. Granted, I only took them for
Okay.
about 4 months, but I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. Before I got bored of that, and I picked up guitar right after that, which made things a little bit easier. So
Okay.
I was just curious as to what you started out with. Me, and it's just one of those things, and it kind of rings true. There's of course, the band's a little bit older, but the band Real Big Fish has a song called "Everyone Plays Guitar," right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So,
I know the song. Yeah.
so, but no, it's always interesting to me to see how it started because even if you did start with guitar, it just that's the fact that you want to learn more, and that's what essentially I've been doing because I picked up a couple of basses. Actually, I got one for free, and I got one off my friend's wife. And she's like
Nice.
$60. Like, okay, sold. I'll take it. And
Yeah.
because all my equipment, even though I always have the intention of buying like a brand new guitar, I like the sound of the used guitars and the old stuff. I mean, it just gets some good brings to it. And it doesn't cost me a whole lot either. So
Oh yeah.
if I beat the crap out of it, no big deal. Let's go into Kijiji, spend another $100 and get another one, right?
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that for sure.
So I know, that's why I was asking, just because of the certain thing, and for drums especially. And I'll be honest with you, I've tried many times, and I understand it takes a lot of work, but it's not that I don't have the patience. I just do not have the rhythm for it at all. I've tried one too many times, and
Yeah. Sure.
so hats off to they can manage all three because to me, drums are just, all respect to people who can play them, but they're my nemesis because I can't do it, and I'm not looking to be like Neil Peart or Danny Carey.
Right.
I just want to be able to try to play basic stuff, and even that can be very difficult for me
Yeah.
sometimes too.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, I'm not like I'm. I don't even consider myself a drummer at all. But it's just having drums around and like being able to have them in my house, and even if they weren't my drums, they were like other people in the band, that kind of thing.
Right.
I would just fool around on the drums and stuff like that, and was able to pick up, how to play at least decently enough to record it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
I'm better with bongos or just little tom drum
oh yeah,
or a
tambourine.
program for that matter.
Yeah,
Something
right.
I've got a
Yeah,
little bit more control over of.
exactly.
Now, I mean, I know you're a busy guy, so I just it's cool that you actually find the time to do this. Now, with certain songs, do you ever go back to songs after you finish them, saying, "No, it's not quite finished. I want to redo them and try it again"?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It probably it takes me at least as far as I'm concerned, probably way too long to finish songs.
Right.
I'd like to be able to churn them out faster, because I think it's nice to like just do something and be done with it. So I'm actually working on trying to record stuff faster with limited time. It's hard, but I think you have to be able to just let stuff go at some point,
right,
and put it out there, because no one's ever going to hear it if you don't. So it's kind of like, but yeah, I'm always doing that. I rework songs and rewrite them and stuff like that, probably too many times, but yeah, I do stuff like that all the time.
It's always interesting to me as well, because I know a lot of bands do it, and I can see where the frustration comes from. Just because it's just a kind of a part-time thing for me, So I'll use just like simple apps on iPhone. But I remember years ago, my brother had a band, older brother, and they recorded. Well, they were playing ska at the time, and this was like 98, maybe 99, right around there. And they were recording it, and luckily for them, it was during the ice storm. Remember the ice storm that kind of swept across Quebec and Ontario, and I think in Michigan as well.
Sure.
So, so it pretty much crippled a lot of cities, right? And luckily for them, for some reason, their studio kept power.
Oh, okay.
So I sat in with them, and I sat in with the producer. Kind of I wasn't doing anything, just watching and listening, right?
Yeah.
And watching the stuff they're going through and trying to restart it, saying, okay, well, the song was good here, but let's try this different again. And it's like, man, there's a lot more work that goes into this than I ever even imagined.
Yeah.
And that gives me that much more respect for you guys, just the stuff you go through to get at least just one song done, let alone a whole EP or album.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be time consuming, especially if you're picky, which I think most musicians are. They're like, it's never, nothing's ever perfect.
Right.
So, but then you just kind of, I'm trying to tell myself, it doesn't have to be. It's not supposed to be, So.
Well, I've heard that many times that the song's never finished.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, and I can see that, and I know there have been some bands too saying, well, no, we did the album or we did the EP, and there was one song there that we got done. Then we know we're thinking about me changing. Like, no, it'll be fine. Once the album came out, I was like, oh man, I wish I put that in instead.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think most musicians, you're right. It's never done, but you just got to be like, well, it's close to being done, So.
Well, exactly, right. And no respect to you guys for doing that and having the patience to do so. But I know if it's a labor of love sort of thing, then you're willing to put in that extra time to finish it.
Right, for sure.
So we're gonna get to the next song on the EP. This one's called "He Mostly Kept to Himself." This is "Shape of the Sun," and it's off the brand new EP, "Artificial Hearts." Dig this.
All the noise in my head must have raised the undead, 'cause the gathering round, it's a god awful sound when they turn me into one of them. There's nothing I can do. Now I told you I won't bite. Well, I lied.
right on. That was Shape of the Sun with He Mostly Kept to Himself. Now, although, Nate, this EP is kind of mellow, this one was a little bit more kind of mellow and kind of more, okay, straightforward wouldn't be the right word, but or right phrase here, but more just kind of like right on point, right on track. I mean, it was kind of easy to kind of really get into, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of straightforward, like the arrangement and stuff like that, and it's kind of a slow song too, but
I think that's more or less the point I was getting. I just tried to think of a better way to put it, because it is a slow song, but it is a cool song at the same time.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
But just sidetrack real quick here. We were talking off air. Like I said, I talked to a gentleman named Joe Burt who played bass for Black Sabbath on a live tour for Clown Heaven and Hell when Ryan James Dio was the singer, not Ozzy. But that was a very nerve-wracking but exciting interview, and he was such a nice guy. And I was trying to keep away from asking Sabbath questions, but I finally broke down and said, "No, I'm sorry, but I have to ask if you ask questions about Sabbath." And he was more than happy to answer them. And man, it was so cool because, you know, like I'm 37, and also like I saw the Black Sabbath reunion, which was just beyond my mind. I couldn't believe I got a chance to see that. But before that, now talking to him, it was years before that. But you know, if I ever would have thought that I would have got to see Black Sabbath on a reunion tour and then talk to a guy who played bass with them alive for a couple months on the tour, I would have said, you're full of crap. But man, he was such a nice guy, and the best story it was, it's like I said, well, how were they to hang out with? So, you know, oh my God, why am I blanking on the names? Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler. Oh, thank God, I was going to shoot myself. I didn't remember the names there. I just blanked there for a second. But I asked him, said, well, how was it like hanging out with him on tour? He goes, actually, it was a lot of fun. And he goes, there are a bunch of pranksters. He goes, there was one show we played, you know, they finished their last song, and they had pretty much like a smoke covered stage. And then once the smoke started cleared, he said, because I looked over at Tony Iommi, and as we all know, Tony Iommi has fake fingertips on the one hand, because the last day before he went full time with Black Sabbath, he got them cut off at his old job. And he looked over him and said he had pulled his fingertips off. He goes, I got weak at the knees. But I was like, man, that's like the best story. Yes. And like one of my favorite stories to tell is like, man, you'll never really. I talked to this guy who played for Black Sabbath. They're like, Black Sabbath, like really, like. Yeah. And they don't even care that it's not Ozzy or the main guys. The fact they play with Black Sabbath is cool enough, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So there's my 2 cents to kind of carry off what we were talking about off air. But
yeah, definitely.
Back to the song, Nate. Was this because I know we talked earlier about certain themes of songs. Did this have a specific theme? Because he mostly kept to himself. You know, it sounds kind of pretty kind of deep and personal.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's again, this is gonna sound like maybe strange, but the song is loosely about zombies.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you listen to the lyrics, like it's kind of about being surrounded, but I mean, it could be if you think about it in the context of zombies, it makes sense. But it also is a little bit deeper, deeper as far as like a personal level. He mostly kept to himself as like a quiet person that, kind of does their own thing, doesn't speak up a lot, but
right.
When they do, maybe it might be pretty important or it's poignant, that kind of thing.
Fair enough.